Hey guys, the Megabass Magdrafts allowed me to finish second place in 2 tournaments in March, as well as a 9th place finish for the Mock Madness for the Northern region. Essentially, this bait right here wins me money. I'm going to show you how to use it. Essentially, Magdraft has 3 different sizes. They got their 6-inch Magdraft. They have their 8-inch, which is my personal favorite here in Northeast Ohio. And they have the big one, this guy right here, the 10-inch Magdraft. And the thing is, I wouldn't use these all in the same place. I would fish this differently than I would fish this, differently than I would fish the 8-inch. So let me walk you through where I would fish each one and what setup I would fish them on. All right, let's go. All right, so what I love about the Magdraft is this right here, this massive tail that has this hard thumping action as you slowly reel the swim bait through the water, sending vibrations to the lateral line of that largemouth bass just lurking down there. And the reason it's called a Magdraft is because the mag hold system. So essentially you can't see it very well, but there's a magnet in there. And what you can do is you can put that treble hook up into the belly, and that magnet's supposed to hold it. Be completely honest with you, doesn't work that well. Nonetheless, still an effective bait. I believe the Berkeley Call Shad has a better kind of connection system. Nonetheless, I've heard guys who use kind of bobby pins to keep that tight in there. And sometimes, to be completely honest with you, I get tired of every time I throw it out and reel it back in. I just leave it hang out, and I really haven't noticed the difference when it comes to bites. Also, what you see on the Magdraft right here is the 2 fins, which is really nice because it keeps this nice 10 and 2 wobble as this thing kicks back and forth. Megabass actually says it's a weed guard. Sorry guys, I'm not buying that the 2 little fins right here is a weed guard. You got 2 giant treble hooks exposed. I don't think this is gonna do anything when you have these things hanging out the bottom, but I don't know. Marketing, right? What I do love about this is the mag hold line through construction. And what happens is when you hook that bass, a lot of times that bass will kind of use the leverage of that particular lure to throw it. And we've all been there, and it's painful when you have a donkey on the line and it throws your lure. However, with the line crew construction, it doesn't matter when it throws it because you're keeping constant tension on that hook. And it doesn't matter if it's throwing it left, throwing it right. As you can see, you're keeping constant tension. It's gonna be really difficult for that bass, not impossible, but very difficult for it to throw it once you have them hooked. And now let me walk you through each size, where I'm gonna fish it, and the setup I'm gonna have it on. All right, first up, we got the mighty 6-inch Magdraft. This weighs in and around 1 1/4 ounces. I fish it on a 7.3 medium heavy fast action rod, and I'm usually throwing this guy right here on 15-pound fluorocarbon. Being that you want to reel these fairly slow, I'm gonna be using a reel gear ratio of around 5:3 to 1. And I'm typically pulling this out whenever those bass are fairly finicky and I'm having a hard time getting a bite. I will throw on the smaller 6-inch mag. Now, the beauty of the Magdraft is they really have insane drawing power, right? When a bass sees this thing thumping along at a slow speed, it's an easy meal, and you're gonna draw those big bass out of that cover, right? So I'm gonna be fishing this next to those laydowns. I like pulling this out and throwing it next to alongside the docks and pulling those bass out from under the docks. I'm also kind of like you would a chatterbait. If you got submerged vegetation, right? If you can see that the vegetation is growing up and you got 3 or 4 feet above the vegetation, I will throw this and just let it thump above the grass, and man, they'll come out and pop it. Obviously, you can't run it through any type of vegetation with the exposed hooks, but that is a really great use for this. And of course, you got your shade lines. I'm throwing just about anything in a shade line, but this is also comes out whenever I see an excellent shade line. And another place I like to fish this is I fish a lot of clear waters and a lot of channels and ponds. So sometimes you'll get vegetation on one side, vegetation on the other side. And you got this 5-6 feet channel that goes all the way down. You can see the floor of that pond or that lake. And I love it. Of course, as you're running this small thing through, you got these bass ambush predators, right? They're sitting in the grass waiting for some unsuspecting little Magdraft to come by, and they'll come out and they'll smash it. A few tips on the retrieve. You don't have to fish these really fast. If you do, in fact, they'll kind of blow out. You'll be able to kind of figure it out because you'll feel the thump of the tail in your rod tip. Another tip here is that you want to keep your rod tip to around 20 degrees of your line, right? So whenever this thing gets hit, you actually have enough leverage to set the hook. You don't want to reel it up here, and when it hits, you have no leverage to actually set this hook past the barb. All right, the 8-inch MagDraft, obviously my favorite. I have it tied on. I was fishing with it this morning and actually caught a few bass. Now they weren't massive, but a lot of times this is going to be the lure that gets those trophy size bass. Here in Ohio, those are going to be your 5, your 6 pounders, 20, 22 inches. This is what I usually get them on. Now this has some incredible drawing power. I will fish this in like 10, 12 feet of water and it'll bring those bass up off the bottom and they'll come and hit it. And man, you better have a good hold on your rod because when they thump this, it'll rip it out of your hands. The weight of this bad boy is around 3 ounces and I'll fish this on a 7/9 heavy power fast action rod. Now when I upgrade to the 8-inch MagDraft, I will increase the weight of my line. Ooh, I just felt my line. I need to retie, a little bit of abrasion there. All right, anyways, what I'll do is I'll upgrade the line from 15-pound fluorocarbon to 20-pound fluorocarbon, and I've never had any issues with it. And I'm gonna keep the same reel gear ratio at 5:3:1 whenever I'm fishing this guy. Once again, you don't need to speed burn this thing, really slow. Boom, 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 boom. Now, when I use the 8-inch over the 6-inch, it's usually because I'm fishing over some type of submerged rock pile, some type of submerged log that I see on my electronics, or I'm fishing over some type of ledge, and I really want to get the attention of the big girls that are lurking down there. The crazy thing about the 6-inch and the 8-inch is that they actually skip very well. Obviously, when you get to the 10-inch, it doesn't skip very well, but nonetheless, you can skip these under docks if you want to risk it. These are pretty expensive. I'll get to how much they cost at the end. All right, guys, another tip. If you're not having luck on just the straight retrieve, I found this out by accident because I was retrieving it and I got a text message. So I stopped and this thing just started slowly falling. And after about 5 seconds, I started to retrieve again. And once I started to retrieve again, this freaking donkey thumped it. So try killing it, try giving it some erratic movement, try to imitate really a wounded fish, and you might get the fish of a lifetime. And last, we have the big girl, the 10-inch MagDraft. And it actually, if you were to buy one of these, the first thing I would do is actually put a stinger hook on the end. It doesn't come with a stinger hook, it just comes like this. But that's a lot of bait to eat before you reach a hook. And so I always put a stinger hook on the end. And what you can do is just stick that hook in kind of the belly back here to kind of keep it nice and flush, or you can just let it hang out there. I'm typically fishing this in the same places I would fish the 10-inch. However, I'm just trying to target the freaking donkeys, right? You're gonna get less bites, but when you get one, it's gonna be a big girl. I believe I used 65-pound braid and just tied it onto this hook. All right, these can be kind of expensive. I cried a little bit last week when I lost an 8-inch on something. I just could not get it free and had to break it free. These guys can be 15, 20 bucks, depending on where you get them. These can be 20, 25, depending on where you get them. These guys can be $30, $35, depending on where you get them. So make sure, if you're fishing these things, you're not being too risky with the $35 lures. You typically want to fish these in open water. I always keep with me a lure retriever. That $25 lure retriever that I have has probably saved me a few $100s over its lifetime, so make sure you get yourself one of those. You don't want to hook one of these up on a log and not be able to get it free. These guys come in 14 different colorways. This is going to be your albino pearl, which I have on my smallest, but my favorite is the white back shad, at least up here in Northeast Ohio. They have a ghost shad as well that gets honorable mention from me. Also keep in mind, if you don't like the exposed treble, they have the MagDraft Freestyle, which you can just buy the plastic and hook it up on your lure of choice, and you can make it weedless. So if that's more your style, check out the MagDraft Freestyle. But you're probably looking at an 8/0 hook for that bad boy for the 6-inch, so keep that in mind. The hooks are probably going to be a little expensive for you. I hope this helps, guys, and if you're looking for another lure that absolutely slays, I got one for you. This one helped me catch over 200 bass last year. What I wish someone would have told me about fishing the Yamatanuki, right there. Thanks, guys. See ya. I need to cut this and go change it out.